A disturbing discovery at a Lexington high school. Investigators say a student brought a loaded gun to campus. What we've learned about the case.
Unfortunately, this was a guy that has worked for us in the past.
A Central Kentucky family says a man they trusted later broke into their house and tried to steal valuable belongings.
A state senator from Lexington has pre-filed a bill in honor of a young shooting victim. How he says it would make the community safer.
This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening to you. A Lexington teenager arrested at his high school today. Investigators say he brought a loaded gun to campus.
18-year-old Lamar Sanford is a student at Tates Creek High School. Police say he claimed he didn't intend to use the gun there. WKYT's Victor Puente is tracking the investigation tonight. It's our top story at 6.
That student is facing multiple charges. The principal here says the gun he had was loaded, but he said he wasn't intending to hurt anyone at the school. The principal at Tates Creek High School says it was a school law enforcement officer who discovered the gun. He says that officer, who knew the student, approached the 18-year-old after the young man had left his class in an agitated state and saw the handle of the gun in the pocket of his hoodie.
It caused the one officer who knew that boy to go to check on his state and see what was wrong with him, to talk to him. And so I think without that relationship piece, that may not have happened.
He says that officer placed him under arrest, and they sent an email to parents notifying them. Students say rumors began spreading about that gun.
I was expecting like a little assembly, at least just like everything's okay, don't worry.
The school didn't identify the student, but according to the Fayette County Detention Center, 18-year-old Lamar Daquan Sanford was arrested by school police at Tates Creek High School Wednesday morning. Mewks says he spoke to the student and asked what his intentions with the gun were. He says the teen said he got the gun this morning on his way to school because of issues in his neighborhood. He said the teen said he had no intention of targeting anyone at the school.
And we are concerned about him as well because, whatever issues that he's dealing with, that he felt like he needed to have a weapon to get to school, I hope that will be addressed. He didn't make a good decision, but our students we're very concerned for them, and we're very concerned for us.
Sanford is charged with carrying a concealed deadly weapon, resisting arrest, and unlawful possession of a weapon at a school. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Now, the principal says there will be a meeting with other school leaders about the incident and how Tates Creek High responded to it.
Tonight, we're learning more about a horrific crash that killed 3 people on Interstate 64 in Franklin County. It happened around mile marker 49 near Frankfort this morning. Investigators say a van burst into flames during the crash. They say the 3 people who died were trapped inside. WKYT's Sean Moody has more on what investigators think caused that crash.
The Franklin County Sheriff said this was a contractor's van. There were 4 people inside it when it crashed just a few miles down Interstate 64. The driver survived, but the 3 other people inside didn't. It was a tough scene for the people passing by.
Right now it appears that the vehicle had a tire blowout and they lost control of the vehicle, went down in the median and struck a tree.
The van caught fire. First responders got the driver out, but the other 3 people inside were killed. The sheriff said they plan to remove the men's bodies at the state medical lab.
Obviously, this is not the best place to be able to do that in the middle of the interstate. We can take them to the crime lab there and have a secure place to do that for the coroner and his staff to be able to work to get these bodies out and do it with dignity.
The crash happened on the westbound side at the 49-mile marker, but traffic both ways was backed up for miles while police investigated.
A preliminary investigation reveals that speed and the tire blowing out are both factors and contributing factors to this collision.
The Franklin County coroner is still working to notify the victims' families. In Frankfort, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Investigators say they are still not sure where that van was coming from when it crashed.
This week marks 1 year since a Richmond police officer died after being shot in the line of duty. Police say that Officer Daniel Ellis was shot while investigating a robbery on November 4th of 2015. He died 2 days later. Richmond police say that at 10:36 Friday morning, they'll hold a moment of silence in front of the police department. That marks the exact anniversary of when Officer Ellis was shot. Police have asked the community to join them for this moment of silence.
Tonight, police are looking for 2 inmates after an unusual escape at an eastern Kentucky jail. They say 25-year-old Justin Arnett and 31-year-old Melvin Garland escaped from the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center in Johnson County yesterday. Police say the 2 men tunneled through ductwork in the jail to get away. They say both inmates are from Salyersville. A neighbor came to the rescue when police say a man broke into a Georgetown family's home. They say Christopher Bell was in the process of stealing thousands of dollars worth of items when a man living nearby saw what was going on and stopped him. As Caitlin Sentner tells us new at 6, the family says they once hired Bell to do work in their home.
I was shocked when I pulled in and saw him sitting in cuffs that it was him.
Trust was something a Georgetown family had. That was until a number of police and sheriff's deputies surrounded their home.
He started running.
Police say an intruder got into a home, taking everything from a family.
My mother passed away when I was a small child, and they stole her jewelry.
This mom was at work when she got a phone call. Neighbors said someone was in her backyard with trash bags. A retired officer living nearby ended up catching who police say was Christopher Bell at the home. The retired policeman dialed 911 as he chased Bell down.
His police training kicked in, but as a citizen, he's just amazing.
Homeowners say they feel extremely violated, and not only because someone was in their home rummaging through their drawers, but because this is someone they knew. He knew their garage code and how to get into their home.
Unfortunately, this was a guy that has worked for us in the past, painting in our house several times.
The family, they'll be locking their doors and changing their codes as police continue to investigate.
The majority of our property crimes are occurring because of drug addictions, and in this case it's heroin. He had a loaded heroin syringe on his person when we arrested him.
And police say this burglary might be linked to another nearby, totaling and more than $200,000 stolen. In Georgetown, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
Georgetown police charge Bell with burglary, theft, and possession of heroin and drug paraphernalia.
It's been another unseasonably warm day. It's November after all, with temperatures reaching in the 80s in much of the bluegrass, but some cooler changes are on the way. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at your forecast.
Guys, when you start the first few days of November out with low 80s, it can only get cooler. That I can assure you. This is as warm as we've ever been in the month of November, tying 1987 with that lovely distinction. We look outside right now, 9 live sky cams, Louisville being a little shy, but we've got a mix of sun and clouds over top of us and a hazy, smoky sky coming out of southeastern Kentucky with some of those fires that are still burning into the mountains right now. We could use some rain. Mid and upper 70s showing up across central and eastern Kentucky. And we are going to get a couple of showers tomorrow. And look at this, Defender Radar Network. I've got the clouds on there. I've got the precipitation heading toward E-Town. Maybe a little shower trying to get toward the Bluegrass Parkway. So, hey, Anderson County, Nelson County, keep your fingers crossed. You may get a drop from that. Pretty potent little band of some thunderstorms into parts of Illinois and north of the St. Louis area. That's with a cold front that is on the move, and that's a front that will eventually get in here as we go through the day tomorrow. So we're tracking a Thursday front, a few, and I mean few, showers and thunderstorms with that. Seasonal temperatures will follow the front, and we will track that with the all-important weekend forecast. I know it's only Wednesday, guys, but everybody looking ahead toward the weekend. We'll break it down for you, show you what to expect in a few.
Thanks, Chris. He says it will make the community safer. Tonight, a Lexington lawmaker has pre-filed a bill he says will give both Lexington and Louisville the ability to regulate guns.
Senator Reginald Thomas is calling it the Trinity Gay Bill in honor of the 15-year-old Lexington girl who died in a shooting last month. As WKYT's Phil Pendleton tells us, Senator Thomas says he wanted to do something after a string of deadly shootings.
Senator Reginald Thomas says he's tired of so many senseless shootings and the innocent lives taken.
When you go to a vigil and see a 22-year-old mother who's 8 months pregnant.
Thomas says Mariah Coleman's death, along with that of Trinity Gay and others, sends a sign that something needs to be done about guns. He says Lexington and Louisville need the ability to pass their own gun ordinances, and if it passes, he'll call it the Trinity Gay Law.
I want to remove that prohibition and give cities, Louisville and Lexington, the ability to deal with any kind of regulation, restrictions, misuse or abuse of handguns.
I went to 3 different gun stores here in Lexington. The owners and operators were either not available or they didn't want to comment. Those that were there told me they didn't want to comment based on the current political climate and the fact that discussion of this bill has not yet begun in the General Assembly. Mayor Jim Gray's spokesperson released a statement saying that we just learned about the bill. We were unaware it had been pre-filed. The city has a process to go through in evaluating all pre-filed legislation that includes a legal analysis. We have to go through the process before we can take a position on a bill. Senator Thomas says this is just one step of many to curb violence.
When you have a proliferation of guns in these cities, then guns are a problem.
The bill will be discussed when lawmakers reconvene in January. In Lexington, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Senator Thomas says the intent is not to take away people's guns, but to put in place regulations to save lives. New tonight, Governor Matt Bevin weighed in on the presidential race during an interview with a Louisville radio station. According to the Courier-Journal, he told WHAS radio that he was offended by Donald Trump's comments about groping women, but he also called those who harshly criticized Trump for the comments, quote, hypocrites, saying they were probably among those who watched the 50 Shades of Grey movie or listened to rap music. The governor also said he believes women will support Trump.
The owner of a Lexington store says his business could be closed for a few days after a car crashed into the building. It happened overnight at Bluegrass Mart on Squires Road. Workers were busy making repairs when we stopped by the store this afternoon. The store owner says the crash caused thousands of dollars worth of damage.
My cash register, my PO system, my camera system, everything is knocked out, so it's already gone.
Investigators say no one was inside the store at the time of the crash. Police are not sure what led to the crash, and they're still trying to find the driver. They say the car's owner told them his grandson was the last person seen driving it.
Investigators say they now know what caused a piece of concrete to fall from a bridge over Interstate 64 in Clark County. The latest, new on WKYT News at 6.
And then Harlan County now under a state of emergency because of brush fires. We'll hear from a woman whose home is close to one of those fires.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
State transportation leaders think that salt brine caused a chunk of concrete to fall from a Clark County bridge.
It came from the Mountain Parkway overpass that goes over Interstate 64. A state spokesperson says last night a piece of concrete fell from underneath the bridge and it fell into the median of the interstate. A team of inspectors checked it out today. They say salt brine used to treat the roads in the winter caused the piece of concrete to pop off.
The de-icing agents, the salt brine, does deteriorate concrete. And as I had mentioned, this is an area, though, that has to have the treatment because it's a merge area, heavily traveled, and we have to ensure the safety of the public by using salt brine.
State leaders say the bridge does not pose a hazard and nothing needs to be done right now to fix it.
As brush fires continue in parts of eastern Kentucky tonight, Harlan County has declared a state of emergency. County leaders say that some fires are getting dangerously close to some homes. Some people say they have considered packing up their valuables just in case they have to make a quick escape from their homes.
Me and my sister, we had water hose, so we've been watering everything down. We stayed up last night watering our houses down.
The Kentucky Division of Forestry is still trying to figure out what caused the fires. Investigators say about 1,300 acres have burned in Harlan County. At least 10 counties in southern and eastern Kentucky have issued burn bans because of the fire danger.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Obviously, some rain goes without saying. We'll go a long way right now across the Bluegrass State. We will at least get some into tomorrow. Not going to be enough, though. Let's look outside, show you the current setup, giving us day 2 of some at least record-tying thermometers across parts of central and eastern Kentucky. High pressure on top of the Smoky Mountains. So we've been warmer in Kentucky than we've been in Atlanta, Georgia, over the past couple of days because we've been getting that southwesterly wind flow coming around that high, and those southwesterly winds are ushering in right now temperatures that are still into the mid and upper 70s. With clouds coming in, it's not going to be a very quick drop in your back porch thermometer at all over the next few hours. Defender radar network with a little light rain in the far western parts of Kentucky. Most of that, though, is beginning to dry up. A little shower and thunderstorm action around Indianapolis. Look at the severe weather around parts of Illinois. Those are tornado warnings that are out with that system. That's not coming our way in terms of the severe weather threat with that. But a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow is a good likelihood as we go, especially middle of the day and into the afternoon. So it's one of those days where one temperature is not going to fit all. It's not even going to be close. You may see quite the swing showing up from one side of that front to the other. Southern Kentucky, southeastern Kentucky, early day, 70s again. By the end of the day, though, everybody's thermometer is dropping from north to south, and by tomorrow night, after the rains are pushing out of the area, we'll be talking about some upper 40s and low 50s for the late evening hours. How much rain are you expecting? Well, this model jumps around a little bit from 1/10 of an inch all the way up to 1/4 of an inch. Not a ton of rain so far this fall, not a ton coming up tomorrow. Hour by hour, 8 o'clock in the morning, and notice through 5 o'clock into the afternoon, those numbers do indeed drop as some scattered showers and thunderstorms rumble on through the region. Into Friday, 40s to start, low 50s for your lunchtime hour. If you hang with a little cloud cover southeastern Kentucky, you'll be upper 40s, low 50s into the early part of the afternoon. 5 o'clock, beginning that weekend on a Friday, mid and upper 50s into central Kentucky. Look at the southeastern corner of the state, 50-ish. Big Sandy Valley, low 40s by 11 o'clock Friday evening. We've expanded this hour by hour to get you through the weekend. Frost in the morning. Saturday, into the afternoon, 60 to 65. Chilly, though, on Saturday evening. We're into this pattern with dry air that is coming in here and a seasonally cold air mass, normal, that we're going to see. Temperatures in the 30s again Sunday morning. By the afternoon, a little windy. Back into the upper 60s in a few spots as winds begin to gust up from the southwest. Overall, though, this is a pattern that does not have a ton of rain associated with it. It's a pattern that will get us closer to normal. There could be a day or two that's still above normal into the latter part of the weekend and early next week. Some mid and upper 60s, overnight lows upper 30s, and as we go toward Election Day, there's the system we'll keep an eye on. Better chance that it arrives Wednesday and Thursday as opposed to Election Day itself, but as always, 4 or 5 days out, guys. It's all about the timing.
Is this the last of the 80s we've seen in November?
If it is not, we're going to be setting records. We've only after today, we've only had one day in recorded history that hit 80 degrees. That was November 17th, 1958. So if we do it after today, there you go.
You've had your staff working hard on that.
Me, myself, and I, we've been all over it. Crack staff back here.
All right, thanks.
All right, every pitch counts tonight. Just ahead, the World Series is on the line tonight.
Well, that's right. Game 7 in Cleveland. A Kentuckian will be in charge behind the plate. And tight end C.J. Conrad was a good target earlier in the season. Not so much now. What's going on there? Sports is next on WKYT. Steven Johnson has started 5 games at quarterback for the Wildcats. He has won 4 of them. The only loss to Alabama. With his arm, Johnson has been finding Kentucky's playmakers, but a big target he's been missing lately is tight end C.J. Conrad. He missed him twice out at Missouri.
We definitely worked on it today during the special teams period, just getting him the ball. I mean, he's just so wide open, and he's such a big target. For me to miss him is really not a good thing.
I mean, he's missed CJ now, I think 4 times in a row where he's thrown it high, and it's almost like, you know, we joke about it a little bit, but we've got to hit those pop passes at different times when he's crossing across the field, and he just threw it high a couple times. And he had some defenders that were jumping in Steven's way. Steven's got to throw around him and complete the ball.
The Georgia Bulldogs coming into Commonwealth Stadium Saturday night. It's a Georgia team that's been struggling, but the Dogs are a 2.5-point favorite. Kickoff for 7:30 on the SEC Network. Former EKU tight end Matt Lengel has been signed by the New England Patriots. Lengel spent the past 2 seasons on the Bengals practice squad. Lengel has never played in an NFL game. He will be the Patriots' 3rd tight end behind Rob Gronkowski and Martellus Bennett. Game 7 of the World Series tonight in Cleveland, and the man calling balls and strikes behind the plate will be Lexington umpire Sam Holbrook. Holbrook is in his 20th season as a big league ump, and he is working his 2nd World Series. The Moorhead native has worked an All-Star game, 4 Division Series, and 4 League Championship Series, so he'll be drawing from a wealth of experience tonight.
You've been through all that stuff before, and you realize, you know what, that's not the worst thing that's ever going to happen to me in my life. You know, this is just a job, but still, it's to have that experience and to be able to draw from those things, all the playoffs and even the regular season nowadays. Sure. It's good to be able to draw from that stuff and count on your experience.
The Cubs forced Game 7 with their 9-3 win last night. The middle of the order for Chicago was on fire. The 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters, a combined 11 of 19 at the plate in Game 6, including Addison Russell's grand slam in the third that broke the game open.
Look, it's been 108 years since this organization's won, so if we're going to come back and win down 3-1, then what better way to do it, you know, historically.
If you're a fan of baseball, this is the best outcome that you could possibly hope for in a World Series that anyone's been alive for. So, I know a couple years ago I won Game 7, but the Indians not winning since the 48, what if it is, and us since 1908. It's going to be good.
Should be good. Cubs and Indians, 38th, 7th game in World Series history. Sam Amber?
I'm pulling for the Cubs.
Oh, well, I don't know who I'm pulling for. I just want to watch.
Final check of your first alert forecast is next.
Then on the CBS Evening News, some schools in Oklahoma are trying a 4-day week, while some parents and students say it's not as great as you might think. All right, looks like a big change coming tomorrow. Kind of dreary day.
Yeah, you know, tomorrow morning's going to be the best part of the day in terms of just overall nice weather. So if you have a little jog around the neighborhood, get out, do it early. Afternoon, at least a gusty shower or two as temperatures drop. It'll be windy. 58 on Friday, though, is going to feel cold compared to where we are now.
Up next live on CW, gun regulation. A state senator will talk to him live next.
Have a good one.